Hey, what's up? This is Gary from Raz Rentals, and I'm very excited to talk your ear off about the brand new Neca Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Fred Wolf Donatello's Portable Portal Generator. Jeez. What an amazingly spectacular accessory. This item is pretty sweet because not only is it a key item to some great Ninja Turtle episodes, but also it's a taste of NECA's eventual Fred Wolf sewer diorama. You know, I cannot wait for them to get around to releasing that thing. But, I mean, I'm going to need it in chunks, right? Because, all at once, it's just going to be way too much money. Just like all of my Fred Wolf reviews, I'll be discussing the packaging, the great people that brought this accessory to you. I'll talk about as much info as I can about the portable portal generator in the actual cartoon, and most importantly, I'll be discussing cartoon accuracy. How close does the sculpt of this accessory match what we saw on TV? We'll figure out which episode or episodes they used as reference. So let's begin. The DPPG was put up for pre-sale all the way back in February of 2023. Wow, that wasn't that long ago. It's like 4 months ago. I ordered mine on February 28th, and I got it on June 20th. Not bad turnaround for NECA or, any of these companies nowadays. This thing cost $44.99 plus $14.99 shipping plus tax. So altogether it cost me $63.58. The packaging here is, pretty big. So, at least I'm looking forward to this being a nicely sized object, definitely worth the money and not just some rinky-dink little cash-in. The front cover illustration was done by Dan Elson and Merrill Mustard. I recognize Dan. He's the great illustrator who's worked on the covers to most of the VHS-inspired boxes. All the deluxe figures had those cool covers that matched the style of the original VHS tapes we all had back in the 80s. I think the cover of this one matches the quality and style of those awesome deluxe figure covers. But to be honest with you, I don't know who Merrill is. And, I can't really tell who did what, because when I look at this, to me, it just looks very Elson, So I'd be curious to know what Merrill Mustard has done. And I tried looking up Merrill Mustard to see if any of their artwork can be found on like Twitter and stuff like that, but I couldn't really find anything about them. And originally when I was looking at it, I thought it read Mary Mustard, and I was like, what? I don't know. To me, I can't tell if it's just like a pen name or something like that too. I really love Raph's expression right here. He's kind of got like a what kind of look on his face. I'm sure he's shocked as here we are in Don's laboratory, and Don is unleashing some friendly and some annoying outsiders into the turtle lair. Now, Hokum and Kerma would be okay, but Mr. Og, Don's just being a jerk, because that guy, he likes to cause problems. Now, here's a fun fact for you. Kerma never uses the portable portal generator, nor is he in any episodes that reference it, from what I can recall. They probably should have put Usagi Yojimbo on here, but then you'd have two white rabbits on the same cover, and I don't know, maybe that would look too, boring. If you don't know anything about Kerma, check out my Mondo Gecko and Kerma review, where I discussed both of their cartoon history. As I get into the portable portal generator history, I'll discuss the other two guys, a little bit, but I don't want to totally discuss them, because I'm keeping my fingers crossed and waiting for a Hokum and a Mr. Og action figure to come out eventually, where I will go over the finer details about them. On the side here, you have the same VHS bookends as the deluxe figures, but there is no release number, unfortunately. Same thing on the other side. And if you're new to my reviews, what I mean by VHS inspired is that the deluxe figures are all designed to look like the VHS tapes that came out way back in the 80s, that the original Turtles appeared on. On the back, there's some great action shots of the guys peering into some strange and interesting lands. This right here, that's Dimension Z, the home of Mr. Og. This scene right here, these robots, That is actually not from a different dimension, and that is not something that they use the portable portal generators to reach. Those are robots that appeared in the episode Bye Bye Fly. Down here, that scene right there, that's just the floating island that the Technodrome rests on during season 4. And last, over here, those samurai pigs, they are from the very first portable portal episode, Usagi Yojimbo. Now, once I open this sucker up, we'll take a better look at all of these, and I'll show some screenshots from the show that should... I think I have ones that should match these almost perfectly. Down here it says, set includes portal with control panel and 3 interchangeable multi-dimensional lenticular screens. All right, sounds cool. If we go back to the front and we look on the bottom, it says director, Randy Falk, Trevor Zammit. Sculpt and fabrication, Brody Perkins. Paint, Jeffrey Trapp, Mike Puzo. Prototypes, Roger Fernandez. Photography, Stephen Mazurik. Packaging, Travis Hastback. Illustrations, Dan Elson and Merrill Mustard. So now's the time where I'm going to open this up, and I will talk to you in a second. One thing I forgot to mention whenever I was discussing packaging is that I wish that there was a door, that you could open up so you could actually see the portable portal generator inside the box, especially for people who are mint on card collectors that, just want to see what the toy looks like. So, if you're curious, this is what this thing looks like as it's still attached to the bubble. So here it is, fresh out of the box and ready to transport our heroes to places only cartoon writers could think of. And remember, Donatello wasn't included. I just put him here because, this is his machine, this is like one of his big items throughout the series. Although he could never get this darn thing right, poor guy. But he tried. This is a very cool prop to have, I gotta say. And already I'm impressed by its clean design. I love that the rubber, like the wires here, are rubber and not hard plastic like the rest of it. They actually used different things and plugged them together. That's cool. They could have made this all just one mold or something. At a quick glance, the paint all looks good. It looks sharp and clean. What I'm really happy about is this little piece down here, Now, I don't know if you've caught this or not, but if you looked at the action shots on the back of the box, that thing was missing. And I was like, ooh, it looks like there's pegs there for that piece to go onto. Hopefully they didn't forget that. So first, I'm going to discuss the portable portal generator's cartoon appearances. Then I'll discuss cartoon accuracy, and I'll do the actual review of this thing, talk about the quality, the paint, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll go through the lenticular images and wrap it all up. So let's talk about the PPG and the cartoon. All right, so first off, I gotta say that, I knew most of these episodes, but even I had to use Turtle Wiki to find a few more that I overlooked, all right? But I do have one episode that is not listed on the Turtle Wiki that I think should be included. And I will talk about that more in a little bit. But first, let's start off at the beginning. The portable portal generator made its first appearance in the Season 3 episode, Usagi Yojimbo. In that episode, Donatello calls it a pan-dimensional portal that he wants to use to contact the neutrinos in Dimension X. As usual, it has some problems at first, and Donnie breaks the lever as he tries to turn it on for the first time. Problems with the portable portal generator is something that's going to continue throughout its entire run throughout the series. When he finally does get to turn it on, the pan-dimensional portal begins to act weird, and instead of opening up a gateway to Dimension X, it opens up a door to what looks like ancient Japan. Donatello deduces that the cause of the transdimensional reception interference must be because of Shredder using his teleporter down in the Technodrome. Wow, Donnie, that's right on the nose, right? Because at this same time, the Shredder is transporting material objects to Little Tokyo. We got a regular mind reader over here. So it turns out the guys are viewing some kind of alternate Earth where animals became the dominant species. One of those life forms actually jumps through the portal and into our world, and that life form is the Ronin Usagi Yojimbo. Usagi and the guys fight in true superhero fashion until they all learn that they're on the same side. So even though everybody's cool with each other, Splinter says that Usagi needs to be sent back home because this is not his world. Unfortunately, Donatello says it's impossible, and tuning into his dimension was an absolute fluke. He can't dial it up on the spot. Now, during the fight, they never show the machine get damaged or Dawn turning it off or anything like that. So the one shot, it shows Usagi's dimension, and then the next shot, it's like completely off. So I don't know what happened there, but apparently the gateway closed and that's it. This is the only scene in the episodes who feature the pan-dimensional portal, as it's called here. After the awesome events of this episode take place, including the turtles fighting a giant dragon named Baby-san, and Usagi shredding some foot soldiers, Usagi decides to stay with Splinter's friend, Obento-san, until Donnie can figure out how to send him back to his home world. Next, the portal shows up in Usagi's second appearance, Usagi Come Home. This is also a Season 3 episode, and in this episode, Donatello tries to zero in on the dimension that Usagi came from. Unfortunately, he's not successful. Instead, he crosses the planet of the rubber bands, and then also finds the planet of the vending machines. As a side note, I kind of like the purple screen of the portable portal generator. And I know it's a weird detail, but for whatever reason, that purple screen just kind of stands out to me and seems appealing. So Donatello needs to get Usagi to help zero in on the dimension he came from, but things never go as easy as you'd hope, right? Because Usagi attacks the guys in the sewer after the Shredder tricked him into becoming his pawn. He beat him in battle, and now Usagi is honor-bound to obey whatever commands he gave him. Anyway, the portal is never mentioned again throughout the episode, and by the end, Usagi seems content to stay here and eat some pizza. The final Season 3 episode that I'm aware of that features the portable portal generator or pan-dimensional portal generator or trans-dimensional portal generator is the episode Mr. Og Goes to Town. In this episode, Krang opens up a portal to Dimension Z in hopes of finding an oil transmuter that will turn oil into liquid nitrogen. Krang needs the liquid nitrogen to get the Technodrome moving out of the center of the Earth. Instead, when he opens up the portal to Dimension Z, he finds the porcelain-eating Pee Wee Herman parody, Mr. Og. Krang tricks the obnoxious little mischief maker to go after the turtles, and Og terrorizes the guys with bad jokes and nightmarish illusions. I actually really love the suits the guys wear in this episode, but Mr. Og makes them disappear. He just gets rid of them. The guys come up with a plan to get rid of Mr. Og, and Don heads to the sewer layer to grab the pan-dimensional portal generator. Unfortunately for Donatello, he has to lug this gigantic thing through the sewers and all the way to Og and the guys by himself, and man, it looks pretty heavy. Although the machine itself looks smaller than it did in the previous episodes. Once Donatello finally reaches Leo, April, and Og, they trick Og into setting the dial to Dimension Z, and Leo throws some vases through the gate. Og loves to eat vintage Hu vases, but unfortunately, Leo is tricking him with some knockoffs. So they throw the vases through the gate, and once Og flies after them, Don shuts the machine off. Now, just when you think that the episode is over, Og turns the machine on back in the sewer layer and continues to hassle the fellas. As I said, the portal is a little weird in this episode because it's very small, it doesn't really make that much sense to be that small because, I don't know, the guys would kind of have to crawl to go through it. Moving on to Season 4, there's 5 to 6 episodes that I know of that featured the portable portal generator. Now, I'm using the episode order listed on the Turtle Wiki. sometimes you look at the episode listings for this and they're kind of like all over the place. Like especially the next episodes I'm going to talk to. Sometimes they appear in season 5 and sometimes they appear in season 4. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about the turtles and the hare. In this episode, Bebop and Rocksteady come to Earth on Easter, or around Easter, dressed as the Easter bunnies. The two malevolent mutants were sent by Krang to use the docilizer ray to turn Earthlings into timid little rabbit-like creatures. You know, they become frightened wusses, except for the Ninja Turtles, because the docilizer ray does not work on mutants. All right, so when Bebop and Rocksteady blasted the turtles with the docilizer ray, Donatello's portable spectroscope captured a small sample of the docilizer ray, and back at the sewer, he uses that sample to learn that in order to reverse the effects of the docilizer ray, they need to get a cyranium crystal refractor. Long name. Unfortunately, these don't exist in our dimension, so Donnie uses his dimensional scanner to find one in a fairy tale dimension. It's kind of funny. Donnie turns on his portable portal generator, which he actually calls it in this episode, so this is the first time you hear it. And Raph and Leo enter the portal while Don and Mikey stay on Earth. I like how the gate here doesn't fill the entire frame. I'm not sure if that's a mistake or not, but I think it's just kind of like a nice little detail that you would have that little gap between the gate and the frame. So in this fairy tale dimension, Raph and Leo meet Hokum Hare, the rabbit from The Tortoise and the Hare. He doesn't really take too kind to them because he thinks that they're the tortoise that beat him all the time. Back on Earth, Donnie and Mikey do what they can to keep the portal in working order, but its power is kind of weak, you know. As usual, Donatello's portable portal generator, I don't know, it's kind of glitchy. It's not in the best shape. Now, when Donatello learns that Shredder is heading to the city's largest microwave transmission center, he and Mikey leave to confront him. Do they leave the portable portal generator at home? No. Donnie pushes a button, which compacts the giant device into a smaller box, which is, pretty cool, right? I bet he wished he had that in the last episode I talked about, the Mr. Ogg episode. Now, finally, the portable portal generator really is portable. In Fairy Tale Land, the guys face a giant to get back a stolen turtle comm, and also they finally get the cyranium crystal refractor. Hokum decides to go back to Earth with them, and on Earth, Donnie uses the generator's reserve power to transport the turtles back to Earth. Now, at this point, it's kind of set up in the turtle van, but it looks like they're still in the sewer, so he really didn't have to move it at all. At the end of this scene, the generator begins to smoke. So at the end of this episode, Hokum decides to stay on Earth for a little while and, acts like the Easter Bunny. I know Hokum is a completely different type of character, but I've always kind of wondered if Hokum was Fred Wolf's way of using a white rabbit character without having to pay Stan Sakai the likeness rights for Usagi Yojimbo. Next up, you have the Season 4 episode, or sometimes Season 5 episode, Once Upon a Time Machine. This episode takes place right after the last one, and Hokum Hare is still in our world, This is a fun one. I like this one. Shredder goes to the future and brings Bebop and Rocksteady's gang so that they can try to take over the world because the turtles are old and weak. It just occurred to me. They never find old man Shredder. Is he dead? Maybe they should have visited his grave, which read, "Here lies Shredder. May he finally find peace." From Bebop and Rocksteady. Nah, we all know that they were stuffed and buried with him in his grave, right? Krang's final revenge. So, in the end of this exciting time travel adventure, Donatello uses the portal generator to send Hokum back to his fairy tale dimension. Up next, you have the Season 4 episode, Dimension X Story, or The Dimension X Story. I like this one a lot. This is actually a fun episode. And I covered this one pretty excessively whenever I did my Neutrino 3-pack review, so check it out. In this episode, the Shredder uses the dimensional teleporter to bring the turtles to Dimension X. He sends they get sucked up into a tornado. It's very Wizard of Oz, as I think one of the guys says. He managed to grab Vernon, April, Irma, Raph, and Mikey. So the 5 of them, have a fun adventure in Dimension X, where we get to see some close-up shots of the Technodrome's floating island, as well as some very cool shots inside the Technodrome, and also a very cool scene in the Dimension X, I don't know if it's a bar or whatever like that. It's the Blastorama Pleasure Dome, right? Where Verdon has to fight some giant aliens. Like I said, I like this one a lot. I recommend this one. So, all while this is happening, Leo and Don are back on Earth trying to get Donatello's transdimensional portal to work. Now, I love when Leo asks Don, "Is that transdimensional portal of yours still working?" And Don responds, It never worked. Don discovers that he needs a new power transformer, which Leo and Don have to go steal from the Channel 6 building. When Donatello finally does get the portal to work, and he manages to transport everyone back to Earth, the generator explodes. Now, you may be thinking, is that the end of the PPG? Well, nope, we got more to cover. The next episode to show the PPG is the Season 4 episode, Poor Little Rich Turtle. Now, I kind of hate this episode because I think that Buffy Shellhammer is such a little annoying snot. Cannot stand her. Sometimes in these old cartoons, kid characters are just the absolute worst. And Michelangelo has a crush on this girl or something, and it's just ridiculous. So Shredder kidnaps Buffy because she's the only one who knows her grandfather's secret super rocket fuel formula. Krang wants to use it to get the Technodrome moving again in Dimension X. As I said, Mikey's in love with this annoying little snot, and I kind of feel like he's a little too big for her, for that to be a cute thing in the cartoon, I mean, he even tries to kidnap her himself at some point, but I guess he kind of doesn't really kidnap her, but the Shredder kidnaps her, right? So the guys try to use Donnie's dimensional portal to transport to the Technodrome to save her, but Donnie says that he hasn't fixed it since the last time it blew up. After Donnie finally does get it up and running again, it blows up as soon as he turns it on. Luckily for Buffy, she's able to contact the guys with the transdimensional communicator inside of the Technodrome, so, it's all good. At one point in this episode, Raph says to Buffy, "Yeah, and in case you haven't been paying attention, we just saved your life." And it just sounds so much like the first episode, Turtle Tracks, whenever he says, "And you up on current events, lady? We just saved your life." I think I might have messed up the delivery a little bit, but if you, like I said, watch them back to the back and you will see it. The final Season 4 episode to feature the PPG, or the Portable Portal Generator, is The Foot Soldiers Are Revolting. In the beginning of this episode, Donatello is working on the portal with no success. This is another great episode. I recommend this one. This one features the Rogue Foot Soldier Alpha 1, and I've already reviewed it in my Ultimate Foot Soldier review that NECA put that out. So check that out. Another shameless plug. Basically, Shredder fires Bebop and Rocksteady, and he decides to make his foot soldiers smarter. He starts with Alpha 1, but a short enhances Alpha more than it should and makes him even more evil than the Shredder. He ejects Krang and the Shredder from the Technodrome, and he goes to Earth to teleport the Earthlings to Dimension X so him and the foot soldiers can live in a world without humans. A world without heroes. So, at first, Alpha does a pretty great job of clearing out New York. When the Turtles finally meet up with April, who's pretty upset because she saw Vernon and Irma, and I think Byrne get teleported. The guys tell her that, Alpha 1 is just teleporting everyone out of our world into Dimension X. So Leo asks Dawn if there's any way he can reverse the effect with his portal back in the sewer. And Dawn responds, he can't even send something to the next room with that thing. So the guys beat Alpha 1, as you knew they would, and in the end of the episode, Donatello never got the portal working right, so he turned it into a great widescreen TV. Alright, so here's the last episode in Season 4 that I think should be included on the list of portable portal generator episodes. I could see how it wouldn't be, but also at the same time I feel like what the portable portal generator becomes in Season 5 sort of begins in this episode, and I'll explain why in a little bit. This is the episode Planet of the Turtles. In this episode, Donatello is messing with his interdimensional tuner to watch TV on the planet of the Turtles, but unknown to him, the Shredder and Krang are also watching TV from the planet of the Turtles in the Technodrome. Krang sees a commercial for a personal energy projector. It's a device that transfers energy from one thing to another. So he wants to draw all of the Earth's energy out of it and give it to the Technodrome. The Shredder goes to the planet of the Turtles and recruits 2 giant turtle wrestlers and kidnaps the TV salesman, Rupert. Right? Rupert's this guy who, sells junk on TV. Eventually, throughout the episode, the Turtles end up in the Technodrome and Donatello meets Rupert. Donatello needs to travel to the planet of the Turtles at some point, and that's when Rupert sells him the pocket-sized portable portal. All right. Now, I know this is very different from the big device, but as you'll see in the Season 5 episodes, I feel like this is what they were going to. Plus, this thing is more portable than the original gigantic device that, even though it became that box, it was still like a pretty damn big box. So Rupert says that this device, thousands sold throughout the known universe, batteries not included. Now, we actually got this device in the past with Ground Chuck and Dirtbag. After this, the portable portal generator, never looks the same until Season 10, but by then, the continuity is sort of ignored, I think, from these earlier seasons just a little bit. And by that time, it looks just like kind of it did in the Season 3 episodes. But let's talk about Season 5. The next episode to include something called the Portable Portal Generator is the Season 5 episode Muckman Messes Up. The guys need a way to get to the Technodrome, so Donnie pulls out this device and says that he can modify the Portable Portal Generator for Earth travel. So this looks nothing like the original design. It doesn't look like the design from Planet of the Turtles, but this design is included in the next Season 5 episode. But worth pointing out, the guys travel to the Technodrome and rescue Splinter. That's what they were trying to do. They're trying to get Splinter. And, as usual, the guys have to get back to Earth quickly before the generator's power runs out. And once they get back, it actually explodes. The next Season 5 episode to feature the portable portal generator is Landlord of the Flies. Now, this is another great Season 5 episode. Muckman was a good episode too, but I love this one because it features Baxter Stockman, and I've said this in many of my reviews. His episodes are always favorites of mine. I think they're all great. In this one, Baxter leads a giant army of flies against the entire city. Everything is covered in flies. It's just a really cool episode. In the end of this episode, Donatello uses the portable portal generator to transport Baxter to another dimension. Once he does that, all the flies disperse, and that's it. That's the only time the portable portal generator is mentioned in the episode or shown, and Donatello calls it by name. All right, fast forward all the way to Season 10. The episode, The Day the Earth Disappeared. Now, this is the second to last episode. In this episode, Lord Dreg opens up a warp that will grow large enough in size that it will actually swallow the entire Earth. The guys need to go knock out the source of this warp, so Donnie says they can use the portal to trace the energy flow and lock onto the warp. Seems like Donnie fixed this thing up pretty nicely. So as Donatello tries to penetrate the warp opening, Lord Dreg and Mung detect Donatello, and somehow they're able to move a black hole into place in order to suck the Ninja Turtles through the portable portal generator. I'm not sure how you're able to move a black hole into a warp and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. By the end of this episode, the guys stop Dreg's scheme, and April transports them back using the portal. And just before the episode is over, Donatello fully fixes the portal. But the guys break it to save themselves from some giant beast. Donatello says like he'll never use it again, but fear not. It shows up in the very next episode, the very last episode of the entire series, Divide and Conquer. In this episode, the guys use the portal to... And, you know, in these season 10 episodes, they just call it the portal. That's all they call it. They use it to transport to the destroyed Technodrome in Dimension X so they can get Krang's android body to fight against Dreg. Now, this episode, I have to say, is a really awesome episode. Like, I like it. Lots of times I neglect these season 8, 9, 10 episodes, but this is a good one. Like, I was really enjoying it when I was watching it for this review. Dreg at this time is super powerful because he absorbed a bunch of powerful aliens into his morphogenesis exoskeleton, which is a suit built by some microbots, right? Now he has the power of all these guys. Don's like, we need Krang's android body because it's virtually indestructible and it'll be great to fight against Dreg. So as I said, they travel to the destroyed Technodrome, which is inhabited by some freaky looking androids, including a fake android body that looks pretty awesome. And they find Krang's android body, they bring it back to Earth, and then they actually ride inside of Krang's android body, and they make it actually grow in size like it did all the way back in The Shredder is Splintered, which I don't even think Krang's android body grew throughout the series from that episode to this one. So that's awesome. And anyway, they fight Dreg, and of course, they beat him. And of course, you know, in this episode, Donnie's portal is as glitchy as ever. You know, like, he just never could get this thing to work properly. Just before I end this, I will say that, you know, throughout the series, there are some other devices that the Turtles use or Donatello uses to look into other dimensions. As I said, he uses the interdimensional tuner in Planet of the Turtles to look at the planet of the turtles and also the planet of the cows. In Four Turtles and a Baby, Donatello affixes the interdimensional tuner on top of the Turtles TV to watch what's happening to the neutrinos in Dimension X. We actually got that device in the Neutrino 3-pack, which was cool. And, you know, in the Season 5 episode, Leonardo Renaissance Turtle, Leo uses Donatello's long-range scanner gadget, this gigantic thing, to try and contact the Turtles in Florida, which is just hilarious to me. And first he accidentally contacts the planet Vesuvio, and the alien shown there also appears in the Dimension X story. Now, I just love how huge this machine is. You know, Leo's using this gigantic screen and this gigantic type keyboard and everything like that to call the guys. And, you know, I can do all that on my 2x5-inch phone right now. So all in all, there is definitely some fun things happening with the portable portal generator. It definitely changed a lot throughout the series, you know, from being this thing that was kind of stuck in their sewer to being a gigantic thing that Donatello had to move all by himself to something he could actually compact into something smaller, and then becoming a completely different device. And then by the end of the series, returning to its full glory as the larger device stuck in the sewer lair. So as you can imagine, it's a little tough tracking down a design that looks just like this toy. Out of all the episodes I talked about, I think this looks closest to Usagi Yojimbo and the Tortoise and the Hare. Neca did make one change on this toy that makes it different from pretty much every version of it in the show, you know, and that's this piece right here, this like console area, because they have it facing forward. Now, I will show you in Usagi Yojimbo, they do have it like that in that episode, but every other time you see it, it's usually at sort of like an angle. You know, it's like if coming straight towards you was like a 90-degree angle, it's like tilted to like 45 degrees or something like that. It's not completely straight, it's not completely to the right. That's how it appears for the most part, but there are some times in the show where that console is like completely turned, which, I think that they were just kind of lazy when they were painting those backgrounds. So here's some of the different designs, and I'm going to work up to what I think are the best. In Usagi Come Home, the portal is like blue, and the console area is completely turned to the side, like I said, which is, incorrect. And there's just tons of details missing here. It looks as if they were trying to streamline it, but in reality, I think they were probably just being lazy when they painted this. In Mr. Og, it's tiny, like I said. And look at this shot. Like, look how small from top to bottom it is here. Like, that's ridiculous. This one is actually pretty close, but a lot of the painted details are just missing. In Poor Little Rich Turtle, it just looks very basic and uninspired in the shot where it blows up. And then in this shot, it's like way off. Like, everything looks wrong in this one and not up to model. In the Dimension X story, it's rendered very well, but it's deeper than usual, and the details are just off a little bit. It's missing some things. It looks okay in this one. This right here is actually a pretty nice shot of the console area. You can see all those details up close. And the foot soldiers are revolting. It's completely off, all right? This whole episode, like, the animation in it is pretty funky. There are times when they kept on making the foot soldiers look like Alpha 1, and there's only supposed to be one Alpha 1. In Once Upon a Turtle, the details are way off again, and it looks like Hokum is standing in an elevator. In The Day the Earth Disappeared, it's very basic in this shot, and again, it's a little off. The details are missing. I think this one is actually pretty close to what the model looks like, but still some of the details are just kind of, proportionally not in place. In Divide and Conquer, it looks similar to the last episode and this toy, just like the last episode did. But again, some of the details are slightly different. This is actually the only episode where you can see the back of this machine. All right, so now on to the best. The details are very close in Usagi Yojimbo, but I mostly wanted to point out that the console in this shot is actually facing forward. The proportions look just like this toy, especially how it has that long undersection with the buttons in the middle there. That's exactly how this toy looks, and it's very rare to find that design in the show. I think that they looked at this shot specifically when designing this whole console area, because even this little piece sticks out just like that, and this part where the lever is, it looks exactly the same. This, in my opinion, is one of two shots that, they were looking at when they were designing this thing, because as I said, every other shot you look at, the console is turned a little bit, and here it's the only one where it's pointing forward. Not only the console, but this like crank up here, this is facing forward too, when most of the times that is also facing outward in an angle. And when it comes to the rest of this thing, I think the best match is in the tortoise and the hare. As you can see in this picture, I think it's got a similar proportion, the way it's built. You look at the toy, and I feel like it matches that pretty well. All the fins on top here match. It's the same exact number, and even those like green lights or whatever they are, they kind of seem like they're placed in the same spot. This thingamabob over here, that looks very similar to. Everything on the left here looks exactly the same. All these details in here, these buttons, these holes, these little shapes down here with the lines in them, the V, the grate down here. You have this one wire, this wire. You get this little section right here. And even these like little fins or whatever they are right there, those white things, those are all in the episode there. Like, you can see them. Lots of times these things change throughout the episode, but here you can clearly see that they were going for this. Even these little nubs that keep the picture in place, those pretty much match perfectly to that shot. You know, some of them are a little different, but in general, they are almost exactly the same thing. So, you know, that's all good. Even these little tiny plates where it's kind of the darker gray. The only thing that's missing is down here, these like lights or whatever they're supposed to be. You know, here they're painted yellow. And these buttons over here, you have a yellow one and a red one on top of this box. You get that wire going across or whatever. In that shot, none of those details are painted. However, in that same episode, there are shots where some of them are painted. So, you know, I think they were getting those from other things. But if you were looking on this side over here, like all these buttons are the same. These plates right here, this and these buttons, and these like plates and designs right there, you know, that is definitely all from that shot. Over here on the console section, like you have this one wire coming out of the bottom of the console and it's going into the side right here next to that, like, I don't know, that thing that's kind of jutting outward, the foot of this toy. And then there are two wires coming out above that foot that connect to the lever box or whatever you want to call that. Those two wires come out of there in the show, but they don't go into the lever box. But I think it's close enough. I think it looks pretty good. Even this little pipe underneath the lever box has like some rings etched into it, which is, you know, just like that shot too. Now, for the most part, the console, like the details on it match. You know, you have the same buttons and everything like that. It's just the proportion of that console itself is different. You know, it matches the Usagi Yojimbo episode and not this one. You have that little thing coming out the top. I don't know if it's like a scanner or whatever the hell that thing is with the green lens. I don't know. But, you know, that sticks out just like it should. The only difference is in the cartoon, most of the times there's like a cross hatching, like lines going across it. And, you know, even on that like little lever area, you got the same number of buttons. And you got like that little red V and the lever and all that, you know. It's all good. It's all there. It's just like I said, they took probably the design from this shot and the Usagi one to try to, I don't know, work it. I think having it at like a 45-degree angle, that console area, is a little weird. Like, it seems like it's a headache that, you know, they didn't need to have when they were designing it for the cartoon. The quality of plastic is nice and sturdy. You know, I think they used a nice hard plastic. It doesn't feel like it's like you could squeeze it or it's going to break anytime soon. It does feel hollow, so maybe if you like knock this off of your shelf, maybe you might crack, you know, one of these pieces up here. I don't know. I thought it was going to be a little thicker. You know, it's a little thinner than I thought. It's probably just because that, you know, the box looked very deep, and it's just because of this thing sticking out right here. When it comes to balance, I think this little foot or this little piece that juts out down at the bottom here, you know, I think it does a really good job of keeping it nice and sturdy. Like, I don't feel like this is going to fall over anytime soon. I think if your table is relatively flat, you'll be good to go. There's nothing on the back of this. And, you know, I know I showed that in that one episode, the very last episode, Divide and Conquer, there was a design made for the back, but I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that they made it specifically for that episode because any other time you see it, you never see it from the back. This thing is just meant to be pushed up against a wall in Donatello's lab or up against your sewer diorama wall. You know, kept up by the wall behind it and this little foot down here. I like the rubber wires a lot. I think that, you know, they're of good quality, and it really makes me happy that they didn't cheap out and make this whole thing like one mold. I feel like lots of toy companies do that kind of thing. I think it's, you know, better that they made this a different type of material. All of the paint looks really good on this, very clean and sharp. The only part that I have that looks a little rough is this black line around this edge right here. It seems like somebody like went, whoa! Somebody drank too much coffee that morning. Now what's neat is this actually has some articulation. Right here, this lever. It moves up and down. Now Donatello can open or close this thing, you know. Whatever you need, he can do it. I feel like maybe the console could have been up a little higher. You know, maybe that's just me. Um, like his hand rests pretty nice right there, but if you wanted to make it look like he's turning it off, um, I guess that's fine. I don't know. Might be a little weird if you're going in from the front. Yeah, if you're going in from the front, like you could put his hand like that, because like if you're pulling a lever, you know, you're gonna grab it like this and you're gonna pull it downward. So, like you can have it where it's resting on it when it's in the upright position, but if you try to make it look like he's like, you know, has it down, I guess something like that is fine. I still feel like it should be up a little higher, you know, especially this piece. I kind of feel like that should be closer to his head. You know, lots of times you can see people talking out of this screen right here, so it just seems a little low. Removing the lenticular pictures is pretty easy, you know. There's like a little nub behind here and a little nub behind there. So all you gotta do is just bend the picture a little bit and you're good to go. Oh my gosh! Usagi Yojimbo! So, if you want to, like, the height is pretty good for Usagi to be walking through this thing. You know, that's good. Wrong Raph, but Raph is a pretty good height here too. So at least the Ninja Turtles can actually walk through this thing if you want them to. But obviously, you know, they're not going to be conjuring up any giant monsters through this portal anytime soon. They're going to get stuck. So let's talk about the lenticular pictures. And you know what? I just found out that picture on the back of the back of the box that showed the robots from Bye Bye Fly, that scene is not included in these lenticular pictures. Weird that it would show up there but not back here. Maybe somebody was like, hey, they don't see those robots through the portable portal generator. Oh my gosh, thankfully we stopped ourselves, or else Gary was going to point it out. So these lenticular pictures are cool. The print quality is nice, but I will say that I don't know, I kind of wish that they were solid pictures. You know, especially something like this where you have this minka, this traditional Japanese house, right? And then you turn it and it's the people from the planet of the rubber bands. Like, it seems a little jarring to jump from, you know, Usagi Yojimbo to this crazy scene. Although, I will say, that does sort of keep in line with the whole portable portal generator thing where Donatello could never, you know, iron out the problems with this thing, you know? It was glitchy and a buggy mess. So it would kind of make sense that, you know, maybe the dimension wouldn't stay on one for very long, you know? But it does kind of mess it up if you wanted to have like an Usagi Yojimbo display and have this in your portable portal generator, and then, you know, you walk 3 feet over to the left and all you can see are the rubber band people. All right, so let's talk about what's on these things. First, like I said, you have the minka, or traditional Japanese home. That's from the Usagi Yojimbo episode. When you turn it, that design looks very much like from Usagi Yojimbo too. The way that the lines go across this doorway or portal door. And then you turn it a little bit, and now you're looking at the inhabitants from the planet of the rubber bands. Now, these guys show up in the episode Usagi Come Home. That's when Donatello's trying to find Usagi's home dimension. He runs across the planet of the rubber bands. I don't know why these two guys start fighting. I'm thinking maybe it's because the one let his rubber band dog crap in the other guy's yard and he didn't clean it up. I think that's a good reason to... Is that a good enough reason for somebody to go attack somebody? I don't know. Maybe. Somebody was throwing bags of dog crap in my yard. I never found out who it was, but when I do, I swear. All right, next up, you got this one. And it has these vending machines on it, right? And that is also from Usagi Come Home, because when Donatello is trying to find the Usagi Yojimbo dimension, he comes across the planet of the rubber bands, and then he comes across the planet of the vending machines. And Mikey thinks a planet made entirely out of junk food is totally radical. When you turn it, you see the samurai pigs that attack Usagi Yojimbo in the first Usagi Yojimbo episode. And the final one. This image right here is Dimension Z. This is the home world of Mr. Og. I talked about that a little bit ago. You know, very cool, very nice. I like it. You turn this a little bit, and you kind of have that swirly design that the portable portal generator sometimes has. And then you come across this scene right here, right? And this is the Technodrome. It's right here. It's sitting in front of this volcano. It's the Technodrome sitting on that floating island in Dimension X. You know, the island that it's stuck on during Season 4. And in that season, you know, there's a lot of great shots of the island. Some are a little cartoony, and some are realistic. Sometimes episodes reuse the same ones, you know, but in general, they're all pretty neat looking. This one comes from the episode The Dimension X Story. I don't know if it shows up in any other ones after that, but that's the episode that I had with this picture, you know. And usually whenever I would come across these as I was watching the episodes, I would try to take a clip of each one I came across. So I assume that it was just in that episode, but maybe I'm wrong. But there you go. That is all the lenticular images. So here's a few guys next to the portable portal generator. You know, obviously you have Don here. Obviously you have Usagi Yojimbo, since, I mean, the thing was introduced in his episode. Plus, you might want to have him displayed by it, coming in and out of our dimension. You know, if you're planning on having this thing set up and making it look as though there's like some kind of invasion, it's going to be a little difficult because, I mean, once you get to the enemies, they're just too tall for it. Like, the rock soldiers are too tall. April, if she stands on, like, the piece in the middle there, her head actually touches the top of the frame. But the little guys, you know, like Splinter, the Ninja Turtles, Usagi, even Baxter, because he gets sent to different dimensions all the time, the poor guy, or Eddie Furlong over here, like, they can fit through there, no problem whatsoever. All right, so this is me kind of fulfilling the request of Matt Maverick and Topher Alish, all right? It's a little difficult because this item is so big to make it look like there's a huge army of foot soldiers and rock soldiers walking out of this thing, but, you know, I think I did a decent job making a nice dynamic composition, you know, where it looks like Donatello's freaking out because he accidentally turned the portal on and is now unleashing a bunch of villains from Dimension X into the sewer layer. You know, Mikey's looking at Donnie in disgust and pointing like, hey bro, you gonna fix this or what? While Usagi and Raph are getting ready to attack, you know. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I wish I had like a bigger red light, you know, to really make it look like the red of Dimension X is like, you know, bleeding onto the villains as they're walking in through the portal. I just got a little thing. The big thing here is you need to build up like a wall around the portal so that it, you know, it looks like it's actually opening up a doorway into something, you know, like maybe if you have your sewer diorama and you have a hole in the wall, and then behind the hole in the wall you have a box, and in that box you try to make it look like Dimension X or some other kind of dimension. You know, all I have is just this little board right here. If you were planning on maybe using this with your original 1988 Ninja Turtle toys, I mean, here you go. Donatello looks in decent scale with this. So does Usagi Yojimbo. This is fine. You know, maybe this lever might be a little too high for him. I don't know, but it's still good. Here it is next to a few 2003 Ninja Turtle toys. Not too many, just a couple. I just figured, though, you know, you might want to see what Leatherhead looks like next to it, since he's trying to, you know, I can't remember if he actually does it in the cartoon or if it's just in the Mirage comic books, because the cartoon was based so much off of the Mirage comic books. But in the cartoon, it's been a while, is Leatherhead trying to get a transmat working so that he can go to the Utrom home world? All right, this one was a request from Garfield Fan 10, And here are just a few 2012 Ninja Turtles next to this thing. Pretty nice, you know. They're small enough that they, I think, fit with this just fine. All right, so this one was requested by Spaded One McDysentery. All right, so here are some Super 7 figures next to this portable portal generator. I think the turtles themselves are actually pretty good. Like Donatello, he looks like he could walk through that. He is just a tad taller than that, but if you're displaying him in front of it, I think it's going to be fine. April is the point where you're starting to get a little too tall, and then obviously the monster mutant characters are going to be way too big for this thing. I mean, even if you put, I guess, Casey or the Shredder here, you know, Shredder's on his tippy toes. Like, he looks really tall next to this thing. I think the deco doesn't look that bad next to him. You know, it's different than comparing an actual character to another character, having something that's like a prop or accessory like this. I think it looks fine to him or next to him. Otherwise, maybe you could do like a little bit of a touch up with some metallic paint or something like that. That'd be cool. But, you know, it looks fine. So here's a request by DudeWare1P and Enzo Moleno? Sorry for butchering your names. So here are some of the Mirage action figures, including an Utrom, the Fugitoid, and the brand new NECA Mirage Donatello next to this thing. So you can see how these guys scale with this. Actually, I think they look pretty good next to it. I guess the Utrom is way too big, but Fugitoid and Donatello look, you know, fine. I guess Shredder's too big. The Triceraton is way too big. Maybe he could kind of crouch as he's walking through it. And, you know, if you were still even more curious, if you get rid of this Donatello and replace him with the original Mirage Donatello, there you can see how he scales. Again, I mean, he's pretty short. He looks pretty good next to this thing too. And if you're even more curious, we can get rid of him and pop in the Last Ronin, who, I don't know, he's very big next to this thing. Here's just a couple movie Ninja Turtles standing next to this thing. You know, they're probably way too big for this thing. I mean, Michelangelo, if you actually put him up there, he's taller than that frame. I don't necessarily think it's like you couldn't try to get it to work if you maybe repainted it a little bit so that it wasn't just this flat cartoon coloring. I don't know. What do you think? And that's it. I'm finally finished. This was a fun episode to make because, you know, I just got to focus on one item compared to, you know, some of the 2-packs or 4-packs where they come with many, many accessories, you know, and you got to go through every single episode. This one was just nice because it's a nice, focused, hey, everything you want to know about the portable portal generator is right here. So the next one will be either a 2-pack or a 4-pack with a bunch of accessories that I'll have to really discuss a lot of different episodes, all right? But thanks for watching. Let me know what you think and talk to you later.